Hi, my name is Emily, and I want to share a story about love, trust, and secrets. My husband James and I have been married for 3 years. We live a quiet life in a small apartment, and everything seemed perfect. James was the kind of man who always made me feel special. He would kiss me on the forehead before leaving for work and bring me flowers on random days. He was always so caring, so loving, but recently something changed. At first, it was small things. He stopped smiling as much and he seemed distracted. He didn't laugh as much at my jokes anymore. He would sit at the dinner table staring at his phone or looking out the window instead of looking at me. I would ask him how his day was, and he would always say, "Work was busy." That was always his answer. Work was busy. It seemed like the only answer he could give me, but the way he said it, the way his eyes would avoid mine, made me feel like he was hiding something. He wasn't looking me in the eye anymore. He wasn't really there, even when he was at home. One rainy evening, I was cleaning the living room when I stumbled across an old box in the back of the closet. I wasn't looking for anything specific, but the box caught my eye. It was dusty and forgotten. Curious, I opened it and saw photos, letters, and little trinkets. One photo caught my eye immediately. It was of James with a beautiful woman. She had long, dark hair and a radiant smile. She looked so happy. On the back of the photo, there was a name written in neat handwriting. Laura. My heart sank. I remembered the name. Laura was James's ex-girlfriend. When we first started dating, James had told me about her. He said she was part of his past, someone he had moved on from. But why was her photo still here, in this box, hidden in our closet? I stared at the photo, trying to understand. My mind raced. Was there more to their relationship than he had told me? I needed to know the truth. That evening, I couldn't stop thinking about Laura. I asked James about the box casually, as if it was no big deal. "Oh, that?" he said, smiling nervously. "I just found it while cleaning. It's nothing important." He quickly changed the subject, but I could tell that he was avoiding the topic. His smile didn't reach his eyes. His answer didn't feel right. Something was wrong. I didn't press him, but I felt a deep unease in my chest. Over the next few days, I began to notice more changes. James started staying late at work, claiming he had extra projects to finish. He would come home later and later, often too tired to talk. He became protective of his phone, always keeping it face down on the table, always checking it in secret. Late at night, I would hear the faint sound of him typing messages on his phone. I would ask him who he was talking to, and he would say, "Just a coworker." But his answers started to sound rehearsed. They didn't sound natural. I began to feel like something was slipping away from me, something I couldn't quite understand. One night, while James was asleep, I did something I never thought I would do. I unlocked his phone. My hands trembled as I typed in the password. It felt wrong, but I couldn't ignore the growing suspicion in my mind. I scrolled through his messages. It was a big mistake, I knew it, but I couldn't stop myself. That's when I saw it. A text from Laura. "James, I miss you. Can we meet?" My heart raced. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My mind was racing. Was James meeting his ex behind my back? I couldn't think straight. I wanted to wake him up and demand an explanation, but I stopped myself. I needed to know more. I needed to understand what was happening before I confronted him. But I couldn't shake the feeling that my world was falling apart. The next evening, I decided to follow him. After work, James said he had to stay late again. He gave me the same excuse: work was busy. Instead of going home, I decided to wait outside his office. I needed to see for myself where he was going. I watched as he left the building and walked down the street, but he didn't go to a meeting or a project site. Instead, he walked into a small cafe. A cafe I had never seen him visit before. I watched from across the street as he entered, his back turned to me. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I stood there, hidden in the shadows, watching. A few minutes later, Laura walked in. She looked even more beautiful in person, confident, elegant, and completely at ease. They greeted each other with a smile that seemed too familiar. They sat close together, talking and laughing. My heart felt like it was breaking into pieces. I felt like I was drowning in the silence of my own thoughts. What was going on? Why was he meeting her? Was this the truth I had been avoiding? I wanted to storm inside and confront them, but I held back. I couldn't do it, not yet. I needed to understand what was really going on. Were they just catching up as old friends, or was there something more? I didn't know. I decided to wait until I had more answers before I confronted James. But the uncertainty weighed heavily on me. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I couldn't stop imagining what they were talking about, what they were feeling. When James came home that night, I acted like nothing was wrong. I asked him how work was, and he said, busy, as usual. But I couldn't look at him the same way. The next few days were torture. I kept replaying the image of James and Laura together in my mind. I couldn't escape the thought of him laughing with her, of them sitting so close together. The thought of it made my stomach turn. It was the worst feeling I had ever experienced. Finally, I decided it was time to confront him. One evening, I placed the photo of Laura on the dining table and waited for him to come home. I wanted to see his reaction. When he walked in and saw the photo, his face turned pale. "Emily," he said, his voice shaking. "I can explain." I crossed my arms and looked directly at him. "Explain, James. Explain why you're meeting Laura behind my back. Explain why you're lying to me." My voice was calm, but inside I was shaking. My heart was pounding in my chest. James sat down slowly, his hands trembling as he reached for the photo. "It's not what you think," he started, his voice barely above a whisper. "Then tell me what it is," I said sharply. "I saw the messages. I saw you at the cafe with her. James, don't lie to me anymore." He sighed heavily and buried his face in his hands. After a long silence, he finally spoke. "Laura, she reached out to me a few weeks ago. She said she needed help. She's going through a tough time, and I felt like I couldn't just ignore her." I stared at him, my emotions swirling between anger and confusion. Help her? How? By meeting her in secret? By hiding this from me? James looked up, his eyes pleading. "I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to misunderstand. I didn't want to hurt you. But I swear, Emily, there's nothing romantic between us anymore." I hesitated, feeling the weight of his words. "James, if there's nothing between you, then why does she still send you messages saying she misses you? Why do you keep her photo in a box like a precious memory?" He hesitated, and for a moment I thought he wouldn't answer. Then he said something that shook me to my core. "Because a part of me feels guilty. When Laura and I broke up, it wasn't mutual. She didn't want it to end. I left her because I fell in love with you." His words hung in the air like a heavy cloud. I didn't know what to say. I had always believed our love story was simple, pure. But now, I was learning it was built on a foundation of unresolved feelings. "Do you still love her?" I asked, quietly, my voice barely above a whisper. "No," he said firmly. "I love you, Emily. You're my wife. You're my everything. But I can't deny that seeing her again brought back memories. Not love, just memories." I looked into his eyes, searching for the truth. "James, I need to trust you again. This secrecy has hurt me deeply. If you want to help her, fine, but I need to be a part of it. No more secrets, no more lies."